is up, everybody? Welcome to the Winging It podcast. We got a special Let's Talk Live tonight with Shadow. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man?
All right, so as you can see, people that are watching, we are in Xenoblade Chronicles X, the Wii U version of the game. And the reason why I wanted to do this one tonight is because it was recently revealed that it's getting ported to the Switch. Now, originally back in 2018 was when that article came out, or was it 2019?
I think it was 2018 when you're talking about whether they couldn't afford it anymore, or
Yeah,
which
well, they
which
was like it
article we
would
talking
cost
about?
too much to do it, so they wanted to go in and
Yeah.
do Torna and the other stuff. So
Yep.
that's what they said. That's what the director said. So apparently they got. Well, the other thing too was uh, they had already said that they would already hired more people. So I'm thinking that's what some of those people that they hired, some of those new hires, that's what their job was to port this.
Yeah. Like they effectively doubled their staff, and Nintendo apparently cut a big check too because it was going to cost way more money for them to because they have to redo assets and stuff like that
They got to redo this whole
for a lot of
game,
things
bro.
to work a lot better on Switch.
Yeah, there was no way they were gonna
Yeah,
just
pretty much.
dirty port this. They was gonna have to redo the whole thing. Now, what I'm
Yeah.
worried about, honestly, is the thing that I think a lot of people who have the Wii U and still have their Wii U's are worried about the map. Because right
Yeah.
now, I'm playing and my gamepad is. I'm playing with the Pro Controller. I hate this damn thing, but it is what I'm playing with. Whoa, wrong thing. With I'm playing with my gamepad hooked to the side, and I'm playing off my Pro Controller. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Funny that they're calling this the definitive edition. That's what they're calling this
Well,
port,
I think
and
it's
I'm
because
like,
that's what they're doing with all of them. All of them is a
yeah.
definitive edition.
I feel that the Wii U version is the definitive edition unless they can come up with a good answer for this. Because
Yeah.
I'm not seeing how you're gonna because you become so used to maybe for new users it'll it'll be okay to maybe toggle it with a button,
Yeah.
but I can only do so much when I play with an off TV play. Usually I'm already in a quest or something where I have to grind, and I'll do that over and over again using the gamepad. But otherwise, when I'm exploring and mining uranium and stuff like that, I need both screens. I need both screens, bare minimum. Gamepad and the TV. If not, I'm using Pro Controller and the gamepad is sitting as a second screen, and I'm looking at the TV. So I need, yeah, I need at least the gamepad. So I don't know how they plan on doing that, or maybe there'll be a companion app or something they'll do for the game. That's the only other thing I could think of that could work in this scenario because I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough trying to replicate that the way they
Well,
did
that was the
that.
whole
So
purpose of the doggone gamepad was like, okay, this allows you to do this, and it's asynchronous, and you don't have to stop. That's why I'm like, all these people talking about they want Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I'm like, if you played this on the Wii U, you don't want that.
exactly.
You really don't want that.
So and it's a little bit more critical than it is like so some of the other games is just like inventory management and stuff like that, and that can be a button or you could have like a companion app or something like that. But everything was updating in real time in this game, so everything that you're doing like you need to be able to go back and forth and not have to wait. Like it, I don't know how else to explain it, but you need to be able to move between both screens. It's kind of how the game works. I feel like if if anybody, the only other way to explain it is I guess watch a video of somebody emulating the game and they have the second
Yeah.
screen on either in another window or on another monitor, and you'll get the gist of what we're talking about here. Because I don't know if there's too many videos showing how the dual screen works on the Wii U natively. I've taken a picture, and that's about as close as I've gotten. I haven't really shown anybody video, which is probably what I should do. Just get on camera and show exactly what we're talking about here. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to explain until you're in the middle of it. especially if you're talking about combat or you're exploring, trying to move from one area to another. Because you need these different deployment points to get um, to mine. It's dual purpose. You're trying to get to these satellite points to expand your map so you can go back to that area and use them as warp points. That helps your travel early on because you don't have a method of travel that's super fast early on.
No, you
So
don't.
so you need those warp points so you can jump around the map early on, and you can't do that until you mine enough uranium and unlock all the other areas and unlock other points of interest so you can move more effectively. And of course, there's achievements tied to that and all that too. But yeah, as you progress through the game, especially early on, it's critical that you have that gamepad. I don't know how else anybody's expecting to uh, to move forward early on unless they have to literally rewrite that game. That's the only way I can think about it. I don't know how else you make that doable for that first 5 chapters.
Yeah, I just yeah. That's my one of my main concerns. Other than that, though, I mean, like I said, I don't mind it coming to the Switch. To be in all honesty, but I think a lot of people, this is one of those situations where it's the it's Metroid Dread all over again. I think that a lot of
Yeah,
people hollering, but they ain't never played it because there's no way in the
yeah.
world the Wii U only sold 13 million units, but all these people talking like they played the game and like they needed to be there. There's no
But
way.
they played the game, but then they didn't want to buy a Wii U to play the game. They can't wait for it
Yeah,
to be on Switch. It's so strange to me. And a lot of those people talk like they've never played the game before because it's just little simple things. When I tell them, what button you press to go into gamepad mode and stuff like that, and they don't know. I'm like, so you haven't played the
yeah,
game?
yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things, and I do like the fact that they did say in the trailer there's going to be extra game content because I'm like, cool, because that gives me a reason to go for it to pick it up. Because at first
Yeah,
I was really saying I'm not picking this up because I played Wonderful 101. The better version is the Wii U version.
I think they knew that, and that's why, and that's kind of maybe the same reason they did Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition because
Yeah,
they knew people that already played the game. They're like, look, that's a tough sale for me to go back and redo my save. Like, are you
yeah,
sure? Like, I don't want to buy this, and then they're like, well, here's new content. Also, it's a prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I need to see,
yeah.
I need to see this
I
now.
mean that's smart.
Yeah.
I just smart and like Future what was it? Future Connected was
Hmm.
actually pretty good. It was
Yep.
only 10 hours, but it's actually worth it before you play three. Um, because it just built everything together. Now, my question to you: do you think? Because there's certain areas, and I wish I had it unlocked already, but I don't. There are certain areas in here, like Oblivia, that strangely look a lot like Alchemy. That has some buildings that look like Alchemy.
Yes. Um. So I, I don't know how else to explain this, but uh, these stories these stories are about these processors, right?
Yeah,
Um, and there's different different worlds for what these processors have used to, I don't know, basically evolve, right? And they learn how to evolve through the relationships of the simulations they've created. So that being said, that's kind of the overarching story and how these worlds are created and the themes that you're going to see played about through this game and the rest of the games in the series. So not to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't played any of the games in the series, but I'll just say this: there is an overarching story for all of the games to include Xenogears,
yeah,
and this game is the closest game that tells you, hey, yeah, they're all connected, not even in a loose way, in a direct way, because even though like Xenosaga and stuff is like in a different uh quote unquote pocket dimension away from the others in the series, there's an overarching theme that connects them all together. And the story about everything that happens to everybody that leaves Earth in this game is part of that overarching story that started as Xenogears. So if people go back and play Xenogears and start reading about the origins and all the biblical stuff they start talking about towards the end of that game, it'll make sense because they mention stuff like loosely,
Yeah,
and that stuff predicts what happens in Xenosaga, and it predicts what happens in Xenoblade Chronicles X. Uh,
yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles is kind of like super loose. It's not connected at all until you get to the end and you understand the experiment. Um, but yeah, that believe it or not, everybody thought this game was less connected, but it's more connected to it's more connected to
Especially Future Redeemed.
yes, and Future Redeemed
Future.
confirmed it because they talked
Yeah.
about New Jerusalem.
Yep.
So they're confirming pretty much all of the projects that were touched on in Xenogears. So I read up, go back and replay all those old games again. I don't know if they're not planning to remake Xenogears to my knowledge.
I don't think so. I mean, because at first I thought they were because of how popular the series got, but I don't think Monolith. I think that's still Bandai.
Yeah, which is
So
crazy because they reached out to him for all the Xenosaga stuff and to do the guest characters.
yeah,
So it's so I don't know how else to explain this scenario. And I guess Xenogears was Square originally was the original publisher.
I think it was original. The first one was, but some kind of way Bandai got it.
Yeah, they might have purchased the franchise at some point away from Square. I don't know how that went down. It's just some weird licensing things with people with money. I don't. That's just
Yeah,
how that goes. But
yeah,
nah, I think it'll be interesting to see what they do because apparently, from what I've heard, the the A team is doing this remake.
yeah.
So
It's not the other team is working on that medieval one.
yeah,
And I
so
guess when they're done, when the A team's done, they'll go back and help out on the medieval one. I'm
yes,
guessing.
so the B team did Torna
And
and
they did the expansions. The B team did the
yeah,
expansions.
and Future Redeemed
Future Connected.
and Future Connected. So, but this remake is being done by their. I mean, it makes sense too because the original Xenoblade team did Xenoblade Chronicles X. This was their baby, like, and
Yeah,
you could tell too because it's a technical marvel for this system. Like, the Wii U is what 2011 technology, 2010,
yeah.
and
Actually,
it's still
2010, I think.
yeah, and still to this day, like the only games that rival this and like draw this and stuff like that, you gotta really start spending money when you start talking about games that compete with this. And that's just today. Like,
And the funny thing about it, this is the template they use for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
yep, yep. Which is
They
and that's
expanded on it.
and it's crazy that they're even able to have time to do this, considering they still work on like Mario Kart maps and the engine for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I don't like Monolith just got. They're just ready.
Yeah.
They're ready to
Well,
code anything apparently.
I think the other thing too is like Nintendo been hiring people for them. So they got. I think at first it was like it wasn't that big of a team. It was less than 100 people. I think now it's
Yep.
what is it? Close to like 300.
It's 300 now. Yeah, they've effectively doubled.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, they definitely have the talent, and they are. And on the technical side too, like I can't think of anybody close to them on Nintendo hardware besides maybe Rare or Factor 5. So
Yeah,
they're kind of doing it. They know what to do. They know how Nintendo develops games, and they're like, well, we'll go one step above you. So
yeah. Oh,
that
Trinell, thank you. Trinell says that it's Square Enix that owns the IP. I think what I'm thinking of. Remember that anime they did for it?
yeah.
That was Bandai.
So Bandai did the anime. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and Chanel, I think they will use HD Rumble, just because it makes more sense to do that, especially when you start talking about the map stuff and putting the mining the uranium and all that. They'll probably use HD Rumble for that, depending.
That would be cool because then
Yeah,
you can kind of feel your way around to where you need to be. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling. I'm just wondering what other things they could use. Well, I mean, yeah, you're talking about Joy-Con and all that too. So there's a bunch of different interesting things you could do possibly. Um, like being able to feel exactly where something is or where the items nearby and stuff instead of having to look at that little star that's far away until you get close enough to it.
yeah. The
Um,
only thing though, I kind of I hope that the expanded piece is kind of separate, so I can just play that.
yeah, so yeah, and that's what they did with Future Connected. You didn't have
Yeah.
to play through Xenoblade Chronicles to play Future Connected. You can jump straight
Yeah.
in.
You
Like,
can just like let me have it separate. Like have it separate so I can do that first. Because I've already done Xenoblade Chronicles X. I have. So I mean, I know that story. I don't want to have to play through all of that. Because I need to it takes time to go through all that stuff to set everything up right. It
yep.
takes a lot of time.
I kind of
So
wish they had a way to like securely do save transfers, but if you
I don't
introduce that, you're asking for corrupted saves and people to hack
yeah,
stuff and
yeah,
yeah,
you're asking for trouble.
yeah,
You're asking for trouble if you do
yeah.
to do that. So
Nintendo
nah,
doesn't want that, so they'll make you start over.
yeah, which I can't blame them.
Yeah,
I can't blame them for that. Not to be weird about it, but I can't blame them for it. Um, yeah, because I forgot I'm at the man. You know what sucks about this game though? Like once you play through all of it, but you had to start over. Man, the amount of grinding you got to do.
yeah, it's rough. It's rough. So, but I guess the cool thing about it is, uh, you get to run through all the classes again and playing through all the classes again with prior knowledge is it's really fun because like once I played when I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and I'm like, oh, they're doing the classes from X. I
Yeah,
started immediately start playing with all the classes and maxing them out because I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is the fun thing because I never know if I'm going to need these or not. And so once I started seeing they had different, I did the same thing. So going from with prior knowledge going into X and knowing how to pimp out these classes, it it can be fun if you. I mean, people that know how to break the game are going to break the game, right? So,
yeah,
but
yeah. That's true.
going through like I could just imagine starting all over again with just a shield type, but having like a gunner class and just you have a weapon, but then you have a completely different class and matches with it, so you get buffs that don't match what that character has equipped is
Yeah,
it could be kind of interesting. Um, and I don't and a lot of those early enemies they're not ready for that. They're not ready for that at all. So it's
yeah,
some of the enemies you'll come across and you can take a level 1 weapon and still wipe out a level 40 character. So you just have
yeah,
to yeah,
yeah.
you have to know how to pimp it out. But early on, if you're early on, I would say level 1 to 10 is probably still a pain.
It
But
is.
once
Actually, 1 to part 15 is still a pain for me anyway.
yeah, you just have to because class is what's more important there early on, and it's hard to get class up that early without doing some finagling or a lot of grinding on one end. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah,
man, it can be tough early on. The people that first start this game, they're probably
they in for it.
yeah
I'm
they're
going.
gonna
That's why I said this is going to be a Metroid Dread issue all over again. Because remember when Metroid Dread dropped, everybody was talking about how they love Metroid, but then you start finding out. Wait a minute, have you ever played a Metroid game? Man, this
yeah.
game hard. Like, what do you mean hard? Like this one of the easier ones.
Yeah, man. Metroid is rough. I will say this though, shine sparking in that game is way easier than it is on like the Game Boy Advance games.
Oh yeah,
But but playing through that game though, it's some stuff there and there. They're just like, yeah, we know you know what to do, so figure it out. And it's like I could only imagine how somebody that this is their first Metroid, they're having a tough time probably. Because I'm
Yeah,
having a tough time and I know what to do. So I can
that's
only
the
imagine.
thing. It's like, dude, like, but people were saying, "Oh man, all they got to do is just put it on the system." Now again, I'm like, okay, I,
Yeah, it
why is
doesn't work
Raven
that
Beat
way.
so hard? Why is Crazy so hard? Like, bruh,
Yeah,
it,
yeah, it's not like go back and play the OG games. Like it's not a cakewalk at all. And they don't tell you anything. You're just in it and you go. Like you come across a boss, it murks you. You go back to enter your password and try again.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
about all
that's
you.
pretty much how you got to do it.
Yeah,
In all honesty, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's why I'm like, I think a lot of people don't understand what they're asking for.
man. This game is like not forgiving at all. So yeah, you run up on a unique monster, just yeah, prepare for death. I don't know what else to tell you. Like it's gonna happen. If uncontrollable plays, just yep.
Yeah,
Just, your party's done. Yeah, you're done. Try again. Next time, don't go that way. That's all I can really tell you.
yeah,
There's no
or
hope.
run,
Yep,
or just run.
there is no hope. And when I tell you there is no hope, like in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and and Torna, there's some unique enemies you could come across and you might be all right. Like if you learn how to play the game, you know how to game it a little bit and how to, have certain items and certain weapons and learn how to like do your time attacks well and do your combo beat well. Um, you'll be okay. Nah, Xenoblade Chronicles X, no, no. They're enemies you come across if you don't have late game gear, you're done.
Yeah,
You're done. So,
it's not going to be nice for you. It's not going to be fun. You're going to be angry. You're going to
yep.
be upset. And it's like, bro, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, it literally is a come back later moment. Come back later. There's stuff around him you can kill, but you can't kill him, so don't even draw aggro that way. Just
Yeah,
go around and find something up. Yeah, that's
and,
effectively it.
and try to find something to level up because if you don't, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
That's part of exploration anyway. And I guess the that gives you some of the that gives you the how can I say this? It gives you the gift of power. Like you have this feeling of power when you come back to that enemy that's still stronger than you, but you have a scale now. And you don't even have to use a super weapon, but one of your really strong weapons would kind of like one shot him. And you're like, yay, and you get to go collect all his stuff, but you still
Yeah,
don't feel satisfied because you can't fight him on your own. So
nope, you
it's,
cannot.
it's one of those things. So you're like, I got this thing and I have this super weapon, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but there's people that do that on foot. There's people
Yeah,
that do that solo. You're not ready for that yet. So,
you ain't ready. You ain't ready for them problems.
yep. Which is yeah, it's interesting, man. And just playing through the game and getting better and learning different things. There's still a lot I need to learn about the game because there's different ways to skin a cat in that game without having to abuse Ghost Factory or Ghost Walker all the time, which I try not to do ever. I try. Oh, I was about to say, please don't tell me you're in that water next to the guardian deity. You don't want
Oh
to be
yeah,
there.
I am. I'm going the other way.
Yeah, you want to
I'm
stay
going
away.
the other way. I'm not. I know better, dude. As many times that thing that killed me.
And
There's
it's amazing to me. I come back late game, and if I don't do the right thing, it'll wipe out my party too. So
yeah,
even with
there
the
you
right
go.
gear, you got to be careful.
There you go.
Yep,
Right over there.
you don't
Quit
want
trying
any
to
of
fight
that.
me. Oh, this pig won't work. All right.
Yeah, that's one thing I do like though. You this is a game for gamers. It's not a casual game in any way, shape, or form. Like you're not. It's the corny Japanese jokes. It's the dire situations you're put in. It's just like figure it out. Um, it's there's tutorials. There's plenty of tutorials, but there's no tutorials for combat. It's not like, hey, you got murdered. This is why you died. Maybe next time
No,
use this. No,
it, this is none of that.
stats up on the enemy. You read the stats up on the enemy, provided you got to them in time to where you can unlock the card before you got murdered, and then you look at that and then you study. That's all you can do.
Yeah,
That's all you can do. Um, and then Lord forbid you can't stay there long enough, or it's just an enemy you can't get data on yet, like Telethia. You're not, you have to kill it, and if you don't kill it, you don't get the data. So, but how do you know how to kill it if you don't have the data? It's yeah,
yeah.
it's one of those things. So
It makes you look at the stuff. It
yes,
makes you look at everything. It makes you look at, okay, I need to do this. You need to spend time building affinity, finding out what works, actually doing the investing into the different manufacturers and all that stuff, so you can make some of them weapons. Finding
yep,
out stuff, and some of them giant monsters, you got to go fight because that's the only way you're gonna farm that stuff,
yep, and
and you got to
so
have the
a
right
lot of it
weapons for it.
requires you grinding. Like you got to go back to a unique monster over and over again to get certain parts and whatnot.
Yep,
And but there's stuff to help you with that. There's different things you can equip to make the ratios higher for certain drops and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world. And I'm pretty sure in this version of the game they'll probably give you some type of cheat code or some special thing you do with the amiibo to give you more
that's
stuff. And I,
that's the thing I'm hoping, because the last thing I need to hear from people that have no idea what they're doing is this game too hard. I don't understand why they want us to, like, dude, don't just don't.
yeah,
This
and you
game
know
gonna
what?
separate the gamers from the people that love to sit up and talk.
You know that brought up to me though. I don't think this game had amiibo support on Wii U though,
It
which is
didn't.
strange because like all the other games did.
Well, I
I get
remember at the time the only amiibo they had was Shulk, and Shulk's amiibo didn't come out till what, 2016, right before the Switch dropped.
Yeah, and this game was clearly in development like early Wii U because like
Yeah,
the announcement trailer was uh
2013.
January 2013. So
Yeah,
yeah, they were this was supposed to be probably a launch game at some point, and they just development was so long.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, that's probably one of those things where yeah, Amiibo wasn't even a thing at the time when they first started writing code for this. So yeah, that's crazy. Now think about it. 2015 game without Amiibo support. That's actually crazy. Um,
You mean think about it.
yeah, I'm pretty. It's pretty much guaranteed this version will have Amiibo support. I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't and but they're gonna add something in there, some quality of life stuff. Bare minimum, they're gonna fix the HUD because that 720p HUD like is kind of tiny, um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to read a lot of the text a lot of the time. So I'm pretty sure they'll fix that part. I don't think they'll have a problem doing that, and that'll be a quality of life change that I would definitely appreciate. Uh, just not
I
sure
think
about
all
the
of us
whole
would
dual
appreciate
screen.
that.
Yeah, the dual screen stuff is just going to be. I don't know. I have a big question mark over my head about how that's going to go. No
That's
idea.
one of the reasons why I said I need a treehouse. This one needs a treehouse live.
Yeah.
Like, look, it just needs a treehouse live.
And considering that Monolith did this again, maybe you do have Bill come up. I don't know. Is he still there? Is Bill Trinen still there? I would hope
I
so.
think he is. I don't think he. I didn't hear him leaving or going anywhere.
Yeah. So we need him to translate all the Japaneseness because it's going to take
Yeah.
probably another 6 months or so to translate this game. When they weren't thinking the game was going to come out in 2015 when they first started giving an update on the game when it was closer to release in Japan. They didn't think it was going to make it the calendar year because of how much stuff they had to do and convert to English, but they got it done before December somehow. So um, I don't know. I don't know how long it would take this time, but I would imagine it's a much bigger project since it's a a Switch project, and there's a lot more involved because of the different modes that Switch does. So you have to deal with whether it's on the TV or 720p handheld. So you got
Yeah,
different UI for that. So,
yeah.
and,
I
and
mean,
I'm pretty
I can
sure they
see
don't
that.
want to put 720p on the TV. You don't want to do that. You want 1080p on the TV.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah. I mean, that's what most people want anyway.
Because otherwise, there's no point. There's no point in porting the game over and it's 720p on your TV. So,
Mm-mm.
um, it'll. I'm just thinking that's probably going to be a lot for them to bring over. So, if they're announcing this and they're saying it's ready, it's going to be ready for March, then this has been cooking for a while. That's all I can really say at this point. So
Or at the
maybe,
very least, it's almost done.
yeah. So maybe they started on this maybe COVID time, maybe.
Or maybe the initial, and then went back and they probably had like a team working on it initially just to see if they could do it. Because remember, 2018 they said it was going to cost too much, and they would
Yep.
just rather work on what they were working on, which was 3 and Torna. So if that's what they were working on, I honestly don't think they were lying about that. I don't know why they would anyway.
Yeah, they wouldn't. I think somewhere along the line, the numbers came in for their efforts on Switch, and they're good, and then Nintendo cut a check. So
Yeah,
somewhere around there, they're like, oh well, we can do it. Yeah, and Nintendo's like, yes, you will, because here's the money.
yeah.
So yeah,
Like, okay, we'll take that.
more than
Yeah, okay,
likely,
we will take that.
yeah, more than likely that's what happened. So we'll 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 see what goes. But Elma has a new character model. So does Lynn.
Yeah,
They're redoing art.
yeah, that was the other thing. I'm like, okay, y'all redoing all this art, so I hope y'all don't, because that can get tricky,
Yeah.
you know, when you start doing stuff like that.
So some of it they left the same, right? Like I think it was maybe Game Explain or one of those videos was showing like a side by side, and they were showing like obviously the new LA stuff, the GTA meme,
Yeah,
all that stuff looks the same. So
yeah.
um, down to down to very square models not getting more polygons. So I
Which
mean you
I
don't
don't
need that.
understand why that isn't even going to be an issue because even in this version when it went to because there was only like there's only a few cutscenes where they were in the city fighting.
Yeah.
So that's what chapter 5 and chapter 8
Yep.
was when that happened. Because the first one was when you get your scale, and the second one's when they let Nagi and the rest of and Vandom them fight. So I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, my bad. Spoilers for
A very old
10 plus
game
year old
over.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like there's certain things in there where it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand to an extent, but the other thing too was, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this game censored over here?
It was for Lynn.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that yet.
I mean, but she's 13, bro. Like she turns 14 in the game. You don't want to. No,
Yeah, you don't
no,
want to do
no. We're
that.
not doing
Yeah.
that. We're not
Mm-mm.
doing that. Different cultures.
Yeah.
Different cultures. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I never said nothing because I think it was that one. There was something else that they did for one of the other characters, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense
Yeah.
because it's not a
I don't.
situation where they like she was 18 in Japan and they made her younger everywhere else. Nah, she was 13. So I'm like, okay, yeah,
After all the fan service in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I don't think they were ever afraid of,
oh
being
no,
risque. It was just like being that risque, and yeah,
yeah,
because that's what we're not gonna do.
yeah,
So,
that's the last thing they needed
yep,
was that stuff
oh,
because
man.
all it takes is one person get mad.
Yep. And I'm sitting here I'm looking through your arts, man. Yeah, man. You gotta get that arts palette together. You
Yeah.
gotta use. You got to start, and you got to do all your arts in a certain order, so you can like heal
Get them
yourself,
quicker.
get extra damage. Yep.
Yeah, because I'm like,
You
I
you
think I know why I messed up on that other side quest. None of this stuff is in order yet, and I need to get this stuff. So I do need to do some grinding. I just need to go out and just kill stuff. So
yep.
before I
But it's
start.
interesting because like if you use the gear in the way that they tell you to, like, hey, if you do this thing, it will add extra damage to an enemy that has something tied to it, or it gets an
Yeah.
appendage crushed or something like that. You can beat stuff that's way over your level. Like
I mean,
you
if
just
you
have
got
to.
if you got everybody in your party leveled close together, you can probably take out something 5 to 10 levels higher than you,
Yeah,
depending.
yeah,
Depending. Now, if they ain't the same, like right now, I got 3 people in the same level, but then I got Arena, and she's like level 17. Yeah, she dying first.
yeah. Yeah, I think they
So
need to scale. I think they need to scale that too. I think that's one of the fixes they need to do, because you have to do a lot of grinding to get all the other characters that you come across. Like you might not come across those side quests until later on in the game, and their starting level is 20, and you met them when you were already 50. Like, yeah, that kind
yeah,
of stuff. That's not fun. They got to fix that, because you don't want. The whole point is that to play through the side quest with the character, and if you're just dragging their dead body along after every fight, like, it's not that that kind of takes away from the immersion. But you know,
yeah, real quick takes away from the immersion.
man, the graphics in this game are just great. I don't know. I don't know what people were talking about. I just really
They were
don't know.
listening
This
to
game,
IGN. They were listening to everybody
damn great.
but playing the game.
Somebody gave a joke and said IGN quoted saying too much world, 7 out of 10.
Basically, I mean, because at the time, because remember at the time, the whole deal was we got to make them go third party. So any game that people were liking, they jumped on it down immediately. So like, remember Zombie U. They didn't like Zombie U because tank controls. I'm like, it's not supposed to be a fun and gun. Like, it's not supposed to be that. Why are you mad about that? Like, that's against what the game is. So it was one of those situations. I will never understand them, and then they would get mad when people would call them out on it. Like, and for the most part, people weren't being disrespectful. They were just being like, dude, y'all are talking about games, and you're basically lying about it.
Effectively, yeah.
Like,
That's
you're
exactly
not
what they were
playing,
doing.
or like Damian Hatfield not playing Star Fox Zero and then getting called out when people like, nah, man, that's not how the game plays.
It's not how it goes at all. Oh my god, man.
So yeah, I mean, now the only thing I would say about Star Fox is I think the main problem with Star Fox Zero was because of all the different control schemes that the multitude of games that came out on the Wii U had, for them to like lock it into that. I can understand why some people were upset. I can, to an extent, but once you played it, like, it really did help with the immersion, man.
I just don't understand why. The whole point of playing a game is you're effectively learning how somebody who coded the game wanted you to play. That's the whole
Yep.
point. That's the whole point of you playing a game, right? Part of that is learning the controls. I don't. Why are you? Oh, these controls up. Get good. I don't. What else
Yeah.
you want me to tell you? Like,
Well,
dive
I
kick
think
is one button. Like, what do you?
well, the thing is,
Get
I think
good, bro.
because Sony and Microsoft pretty much made the same controller, as far as button layout is concerned, anything that different from that, people automatically had a problem with. No matter how, you know, no matter how intuitive or how much for the game it helped the game, they didn't care. Microsoft and
Yeah,
Sony
and
do it
it's
this
just
way.
funny
Y'all need to
how.
do it this way.
But
So
but now using gyro to aim is okay now.
yeah,
It just took a
because
Sony
once
controller
you
for it to be
because
acceptable.
once you do it, it's like, remember when we were playing Black Ops 2 on the Wii U and we
Yep.
was using the remote and chuck and people was getting mad.
Yeah. Cause they too slow.
You too slow.
They too slow.
Like I don't have to
Like,
actually use. All I got to do is turn my wrist.
yep. I
That's
point
all
to
I got to
where you
do.
are on screen and shoot.
Yeah. So I mean, it was one of them situations. Once you started using it, you're like, dude, gyro is better than twin stick. Sorry.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You gonna play against somebody that's playing mouse and keyboard? No. Why not?
Yeah.
Same reason.
Same
Same reason.
reason. I'm like, I love this whole let's do crossplay now. All right, y'all finna find out.
Yeah.
Mouse and keyboard people that yeah, and it's not cheating because they're playing the way they're playing on PC. So they're not cheating.
Yep. Definitely.
So
Yeah. This game. We'll see, man. I'm wondering what the new content is gonna be. That'll be interesting to see where they go with that. To see how whether that's gonna be the Black Knight or not, or it's tied to something else, or they just talk more about Mirror itself. To me, anyway, that was the big mystique. That was the big drive. Anyway, was the world. I mean, that the world was the main character, and I think a lot of people didn't get that.
you don't get
Um,
it well because you don't get it until you beat the game,
yeah.
essentially, because that's when the game opens up. Once you beat the game, it opens all the way up. So
I mean, there's a whole. I think that's the other thing too. Like, even though there's gonna be like effectively DLC for this definitive version of this game for you to play the epilogue or whatever, right? There's already an epilogue in this game. After you beat the game, it's like, hey, you did the thing. Now go do other stuff. And
yeah,
there's a whole set of different stories and stuff. Like you follow Elmo around, and there's more stuff to do. So I think a lot of people, once they saw the credits for this game, turned it off and didn't know there was another like 60 hours.
yeah.
So,
Once you get your Aries, once you get that Aries scale, man, it's on the popping.
yeah, there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more side quests. There's somebody even more evil than the main protagonist, and they've been there the entire time. And you don't know that until later on, and the camera pans to that person, and you're like, wait, what? Um, and that
Yeah.
you don't find that out until post game though. So it's
Yep.
yeah, it's
So,
interesting stuff.
so you think they're gonna tie? You think that whatever they do is gonna be tied back to that?
I don't know if they're gonna tie it back to her. Spoilers, her. I don't know if they're gonna tie it back to her at all, or well, that guy.
Yeah.
Um, he'll be in your party early, but I don't know if they're gonna
Because
tie it to
they
either one
showed
of them
your
at
boy
all.
Lau in the
Yeah,
trailer. They showed him, so we know he ain't dead.
yeah. I mean,
So
yeah. I mean, he wasn't dead at the end of the credits either. So
nah,
it's just I don't know what they're if that's gonna be the main focus, or is it gonna be about the other stuff on the planet and what people were doing before New LA was a thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Or how they knew to land on a mirror, because it wasn't a crash landing. That was intentional.
yeah.
That's the other part too. That was
And what
intentional.
about the others? Because remember, what? Not every ship got blowed up.
Yeah, not everyone got blown up. So where are the other life holds? Where are
Yeah.
they? And then
Like,
go
where
up
did
from
they
there.
go to? Did,
Yep.
is this a Klaus situation? I
Yep.
hate Klaus. Um,
And then the other part is too, the DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 expands upon the simulations.
yeah,
So we don't know, yeah, what's going on with that either. So there's a whole nother aspect of that where, I I don't even know if Elma's gonna be in whatever the additional content is. She might be doing her own thing.
she
But
might be in Xenoblade Chronicles too. Remember, she got pulled over there.
yeah, yeah. So that's a whole nother. That might be completely different content. So, but we'll see. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm wondering. I'm definitely curious about what's going to happen there. So, but
yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah. Other than that, I'm definitely looking forward to it because I want to see. I gotta know. There's no way I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna pre-order it pretty soon
I
here.
mean, yeah, yeah. I feel at this point, I feel like I have to. I'm probably gonna go in and pre-order. I'm trying to figure: do I want to go digital or do I want to because they're probably gonna do a physical version, or do I just get a physical version of it? Because right now the way it's looking, March is gonna be heavy for me,
Yeah.
especially because we don't know when this successor is gonna come out, and if the successor, because I've been saying it's gonna be just like it was 2016. Since Brothership is out, they'll probably do a thing sometime by the holiday. That little, because remember there was a 3 minute trailer,
Yep.
and then in December at the Game Awards we got our first like, oh, it's gonna be a direct, and then the direct showed it and gave us the release date and the first batch of games.
Yep.
So
Then
I'm
we
thinking it's
got the
gonna be the
full.
same thing.
Then we got the full corporate reveal in January.
Yeah. So
Um.
the thing about that is, if they do it in March or April, because like I said, I've always said from a business standpoint, it makes more sense to do it at the beginning of your fiscal year. That way, all that money is on that year.
Yep.
So don't
Because
wait till November and December to put your console out. Do it in March or
it's a
April.
clean break. It's a clean
Yeah,
break. You could look at the profit losses you had from the previous fiscal year and see how R&D was leading up to what you're doing now, and then immediately, hey, product is launching. Look at this profit,
yeah.
and
And
that's an
since
easy way to.
and since they done learned from the Wii U of trusting in third party, they gonna have their own lineup ready to go.
Oh yeah, that's probably the majority of. I was expecting that anyway. I was
Yeah.
thinking that this successor would be out no later than 2024 back then.
Hmm.
But with COVID, I knew
Well, yeah.
things would be extended a little bit.
Once the pandemic hit, yeah, I pushed everything back a year. Cause like, yeah,
Yeah,
the pandemic gonna push good, and don't on top of that, you can't forget the chip shortage because of that supply chain.
and then it helped also that people kept buying them, so Nintendo's like, all right, cool, so we're in no rush here, so
Mm-mm.
we'll keep on refining whatever alpha hardware we have in our labs or whatever, and keep refining that until it's perfect, and then they'll just keep building games in the background. We'll have a catalog stacked ready to go. Like, there's no telling, we might have been looking at Switch 2 games for like the last year. Like
Yeah,
everything that's been launching or everything that's been previewed to us, it might have been a Switch 2 project at some point.
I mean, I'm looking at Metroid Prime Remaster and like, when did y'all do
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
So, and remember, we haven't gotten a true uh 3D Mario game out. All we got was Odyssey in 2017. It's 2024.
yep,
Yeah, that game, that's going to be a launch title. Whatever they planning on doing for Mario, for the 3D Mario game, is going to be a launch title. That's that's just what it is, in my opinion. So I later Triple M, yeah, I think the launch list is going to probably be pretty thick. To be fair, just because I think they've learned so much from that, from 2012, and people
yep,
like pretty much lying on them, that is never going to happen again.
yeah,
Never.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
They will never trust press again. They'll never do.
Mm-mm.
They'll always do their own reveals, and that's going to be that. They'll probably do still do the TV thing or whatever. So they'll send
Hmm.
out Doug Bowser or something. They'll put him on CNN or whatever. That'll probably happen. But
Yeah.
other than that, they're not doing trade shows or anything like that. Not for no full reveal. It'll be for
No,
stuff they already got out.
it's gonna be for them and them alone, and that's it. And to me, to be fair, that's how it should be.
Yeah, they can't.
If you're gonna talk about them and say they're not doing what they're supposed to, then yeah, you don't deserve to get their stuff, man. I'm sorry.
For those of you who have been, maybe you were a little bit young during the time, but sometime between 2001 and say maybe 2010, the gaming industry became a giant boys club for some reason. It became a frat boy garden and a dude bro garden where only things they like were things that they were going to cover positively, and anything that kind of like, how can I say this, did not meet what other third party publishers were pitching to them as gimmicks, they would say they would other it. So if if at some point in time they say, hey, look at these HD graphics. HD graphics back then was 540p content, right? Upscaled to 720p or 1080i. That's what HD content was back then. We're talking about early 360, early PS3 games. Not only was this marketing false, it didn't tell the full picture of what was going on. And in addition to that, like you were doing HD content of sixth generation character models. So you have Gears of War with characters in that game having less polygons that was in Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil Remake on GameCube.
Yeah.
But the goal was, hey, look at this bump mapping and look at this higher resolution that we're showing you. It's HD, right? They
Mm-hmm.
they will tell you it wasn't. Um, so if Nintendo at the time says, you know what, we see that you're struggling with HD, and there's a whole bunch of standard definition TV sets out, so our next system is still gonna support SD. Because guess what, GameCube was overkill for this resolution. So if we make it a sequel to the GameCube, it'll be even better, right?
Yeah.
Gaming media did not like that, so they did
Well,
the whole
they
thing.
also didn't like that Iwata called him out
Yes, and
at GDC.
Iwata called him out. Shigeru Miyamoto called him out. Said, "Hey, look, y'all chasing these big budgets and whatnot. It's not sustainable. It's gonna cause the industry to be broke." Um, and it did. And so what happened during that time was that was when uh investment firms started flooding the market silently, and you started having these intellectual property holders start to come in and start purchasing AA and AAA studios. And even if they didn't purchase the AAA studio then at the time, they worked limited deals with them, especially for like a licensed property, and they will front the majority of the funding for that game to get published um ahead of time. And then once the game released or whatever, blah blah blah, they pay them back some of the money or whatever. That's kind of what was happening back then. They didn't want anybody at Nintendo to be proven right. So here we are almost some 15, 20 years later, and everything that they said, now your favorite YouTuber is saying it. And it's been a thing that I know I've stumped on. I've stumped on this for years. So um yeah, man, it's just that's just been my thing for the entire time. I've been saying this for a hot minute. I don't know. Is my audio still good?
Yeah, it's still good.
Okay, just making sure because I switched up for a second. But yeah, it's been this way for a while. So those who aren't used to what we're talking about here, it's about the IGNs of the world, the GameSpots of the world, and eventually those people got old and left. But the new people coming in, they were kids when they were looking up to the people that were journalists at the time. So, or quote unquote journalists at the time. So
Yeah,
they have the same sentiment. Um,
which is sad
and
because
and they're slowly seeing that, hey, insert scripted scene here in a Call of Duty game with follow over the head to run to next set piece isn't exactly fun for like the 19th time. Um, Having all this advanced hardware but still having invisible walls in your game is not fun. Um, People are
well,
starting to learn that. Like,
the funny thing about it, they keep saying it's advanced, and I'm like, bruh, it can't be advanced if you can't do the funniest thing was I think Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite promised all this stuff, and I'm like, you got the most powerful console. That's what y'all keep saying,
yeah,
and you can't do 4-player co-op.
all the teraflops, right? Because it was all about teraflops,
Yeah,
and that's changing now too.
but
You
you
notice
can't
that?
do 4-player split screen. You
Yep.
can't do it. You can't do couch co-op on this supposed beast mammoth of a system. You can't. But the Switch can do split screen co-op on Mario Kart. The Switch can do 8-player co-op on Smash Brothers Ultimate.
See, the concession is if they want to show all these high end quote unquote graphics or whatever, right? They're going to be memory bound and they're going to be bandwidth bound. And the more you split your screen up, you're halving your textile fill rate. So
Hmm.
you don't have enough to do the thing that you want to be your tentpole argument when you're trying to sell your product. They know that, and they're just not going to tell you that. They're just going to say, "Oh, well, the engine is just not capable." Well, go to online. Go to online. Everybody has their own screen if you're online.
Yeah,
That's what they want to
and
sell
that's
you.
like, but then you get people like, but I got friends coming over and we ain't got nothing to then get you a Nintendo console because I don't know what to tell you. Because
Or they tell you to legit buy a second console so you can have a LAN party inside
yeah,
of your house.
yeah, which yeah, we did LAN parties when I was in college, but we were in college.
Yes,
So
that's.
yeah, that's a little bit different.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
doing
do
a
a
LAN
LAN
party with
party in
my
my own
son.
crib.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. That's And if I'm going to do that, I would just do that on a computer. But what LAN parties were built for, that just I'll just do it there.
Yeah,
So
basically.
yeah, man, it's a whole nother thing. But the industry is slowly starting to see exactly what we've been talking about all this time, and because they have no choice. It's like the rubber is meeting the road now at this point. So they have to start admitting things like, oh, I don't know. Let's start moving the goalposts to upscaling now because
Yeah,
us talking about these teraflops isn't really doing it. um they can't sell the product, so they have to come up with something else to give you. They tried the fake ray tracing. Yeah, piecemeal ray tracing isn't selling systems either, especially when you got developers that you'll get one feature here for ray tracing and one it's not guaranteed per game. It's random every game, so you don't even know what you're getting, for buying this system. And you play a game, and then it's a completely different effect depending on what game you play. So that's it. We're just basically we're coming to not a point of no return or anything of that nature. It's just the BS is being called out. At this point, the lie is meeting the truth. It's meeting a mirror, a full frontal, and there's nothing they can do about it anymore. There's no talking around it.
yeah. I mean,
So
well, they found out the water wasn't lying.
yeah, they knew that then anyway. They just
Yeah,
they just wanted to lie to their consumers so they could continue selling the gimmick that they were selling. Which is hilarious to me because anything Nintendo was doing was called a gimmick, and I'm like, all this graphic stuff y'all keep talking about is the biggest gimmick ever,
yeah. That's
and
just
it's
how you're
not.
supposed to play the game, but
I
y'all want to call it a gimmick. I'm like, all right, whatever, dude.
I I I'll just lay this out, and then we can go ahead in this combo. So in the seventh generation, you were supposed to get HD, right?
Yep.
And you nothing was really 1080p like that on any of those consoles. Like very few games supported it. Um, you had a lot of games that were lower than 720p in that generation. Towards the end of that generation and starting the new one, they were trying to sell you on 3D TVs for some weird reason. So there was some games that were supporting 3D. Um, some of them required active lenses, some of them required passive lenses. It was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing in game. They were trying to sell you 3D TVs for some weird reason. So that
Well,
happened.
that Hisense and Nintendo killed that with glasses free.
Yeah. Then they're pitching these new consoles, the eighth generation, right? They want to talk about these consoles can record because they have hard drives and stuff. And I'm like, you probably better off with a capture card.
Yep.
And you could pause and suspend your game. And I'm like, it's not working too well. It's breaking in a lot of games. Um, and they were talking about other different things like how the resolution and stuff like that, and how you're able to do HDR now in your games, which is basically it became a whole lot of light bloom and a lot of changing ranges of CYMK to be higher or whatever, right? But it depended on what type of monitor or TV you were using. So a lot of the times they will talk about this stuff, and they talk about high dynamic range, and I'm like, you're just talking about output. You're not talking about the color space of where you're designing the game. So it isn't really dynamic like that. It's
Yeah.
baked after the fact. And so all those things started happening, and then Switch came and kind of messed everything up. So now you got these consoles that weren't supposed to come out until 2022 or so being rushed to the market in 2020. Um,
and they're supposed to be 4K, right?
Well, well, on the box, it's supposed to be 4K.
Or 8K in the case of the PS5, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so now there's a PS5 Pro, and you still can't do 8K.
Nope.
Not
Well, there ain't no
not maybe
8K
in like three
TVs
games,
either. So my
huh?
thing is, where you gonna get the 8K from? Because there ain't no 8K TVs, from what I
No, not
understand.
not like that. And there's not 8K content really to watch like that either.
Yeah.
So you know,
Like unless
what's
you
the
going
point?
to the theater.
Yeah, I would say the only reason for those higher resolution is starting to become pointless because movies are shot in like 16K and stuff like that, but that's
Well,
for
some of them are.
archival. So
So,
when technology advances that far, like you have that already there, and you can upscale and do whatever, right? It makes sense that they would have higher resolution for films being shot or whatever, because that movie can live for effectively forever or whatever, or at least for the next 50 years of technology. Um, but a video game that can't even like draw that many pixels per frame, like I don't understand the need to even jump to that goalpost, and y'all can't even guarantee 1080p every frame. So
mm-mm.
like what are we doing? I don't and you got games that are still running in dynamic resolution on these consoles. So like you got 1440p here, 1200p here and there, 1080p scaled up to 4K. I Nah, man. So all the gimmicks that they were trying to sell you over time, they were never true. But a Wii remote worked. A Wii remote worked. The Wii U gamepad worked. You didn't need a TV to play Wii U. So I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
that's where we are now, and we're well beyond Xenoblade Chronicles X. So I don't know, man. I'm just looking forward to the game. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. I just wanted to come in and just talk about it because we did see that it's coming. So
Yeah.
once again, I'm indifferent to be honest because like I I learned when they ported Wonderful 101, I'm like, yeah, the superior version is the Wii U version, it's not the Switch version.
Yeah.
I hate
It
to be
is.
that guy, but it ain't. It just ain't. The truth is the truth. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm more than likely going to pick it up because I do love the Xenoblade Chronicles storyline, and if they got some new stuff to add to the story, then yeah, I'm gonna have to play it. So I just have to. I just hope it's separate so I can just go into it and just play that part, and then I can go back and play at a different time. You know what I'm saying?
You and me both,
Um,
man. I'm not redoing my save for that.
yeah, it's just too much. And like I said, I don't mind them bringing back the online stuff because like the online portion is very good if you got a good squad with you
Yep.
that know what they're doing. Because I played a couple missions with people that didn't know what they were doing, and boy, did that hurt. But
Yeah.
playing with people that know what they're doing, it can be a lot of fun. So um that's gonna do it for this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out last night's podcast where we had the album reveal for VG Mobster's new album. Very good. So check it out
Yep.
when you have a chance. Uh, anything you want to pimp out?
Nah, nothing at this moment. I'll make some announcements later this week. But other than that, no, nothing really going on my channel. But do check out Jay's channel, Sandstorm's channel, as we talked about before, and VG Mobster, I guess, as well. Follow him on social media as well. Check out his new album.
Yeah.
Everybody else from the rest of the cast, Vicky, Action Jack, um, GVGINU Andre.
Yep. Yep.
And that's
And
pretty much it for me.
yep, and thank everybody for joining the chat. We really do appreciate you. We did. There is Nintendo's dropping a direct tomorrow, but it's for the Super Mario World Park. So we may or may not do a live reaction to that, but that's at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just to let you know. And we'll see you guys next Sunday. Peace out, people.